peeps, let's make a personalized glow-in-the-dark curved frame sign. To make this project, we'll be using many unique products and complex laser cutting techniques.
So here is all the materials that we're going to be using for this project. All of this stuff right here we got from Creatorally. This glow-in-the-dark acrylic, which is really nice and has a really cool effect. We got this black light LED strip that we're going to end up kind of going around the edge, and it actually has a neat effect on this and kind of gets it to glow really, really well. We're going to be using this pre-finished 3mm plywood. And we're also going to be using some transparent colored acrylic to fill in some of our spaceship parts.
A huge thank you to Creatorally for sending us the glow-in-the-dark acrylic and colored wood. We'll have the links to their products in the description if you're interested. In order to create our design, we'll be using LightBurn. We've went ahead and imported an image that resembles the frame and stand that we're going to create for our scene. And using the circle tool, we're going to draw out a guideline for the size of the acrylic piece we'll be cutting and engraving, and we want that to be 6 inches. Knowing that we want to make a frame for a 6-inch circle, we'll now create a guideline that outlines the space to wrap around the circle's circumference. This frame also needs to be split into 2 parts that connect because currently the length of this as one piece is too long for our wood as well as our workspace. Now we're increasing the height of this rectangle to account for the depth needed to fit lights, acrylic, and wood within the frame. Next, we're creating tabs using the circle tool, which will align in the places we want the 2 pieces of our frame to connect. We need the circles to all be the same size, so we can just copy and paste them. Command C and Command V. We're creating a rectangle around our tabs so that we can easily align the circles to the other side where we'll have them cut into the wood instead. Before we start making any permanent changes to this piece, we're going to go ahead and make a new copy to modify. For these tabs, we need to account for the kerf of our laser so that they can perfectly snap into the cutouts we've created. We can do this by adding an outward offset the size of our particular laser's kerf. The next step in creating the frame is to account for where our wood and acrylic pieces are going to connect into the frame. In order to do this, we'll start by making guidelines for where notches need to go in our frame and where tabs need to go around our acrylic and wood pieces. In order to duplicate our tabs properly, we'll move our circle to the 0 point on our workspace and make a circular array that makes copies around that point. We're now using our offset tool so we can create a guideline that cuts our tabs to the thickness of the wood we're using for our frame. This is so that they fit inside the notches perfectly. As we're making these notches, we need to keep in mind where we're aligning them and our laser's kerf. Now that we've added the notches, it's time to create guidelines that we'll use to add cut lines that allow our wood to bend around the circle. If you would like us to do an in-depth guide on designing this wood bending technique in LightBurn to cut using a laser, and exactly how we got the measurements for the design of our frame, let us know in the comments, and if you're interested, we could do a full video on that in the future. We've now completed the design of our frame, so we just need to copy and paste it so that we have our two sections that can connect. Also, we'll go ahead and copy this shape here because we'll be using this as the back plate of our frame as well as our acrylic cutout. We also realized we need to rotate this shape so that when we add our images, they will align with how the acrylic piece sits in the frame from where the notches and tabs are. Using our circle tool, we're drawing out a guideline of the space we have for our scene. And now we can import our images, trace them, and arrange them. To easily cut our planet to the size we have allotted, we can duplicate the guideline circle, hold Shift to select our planet at the same time, and use a Boolean tool to cut it out. Now we'll move our finished scene to place. The final layer we need to design for this frame is a surrounding border. We're going to use a copy of the outside cut, create an inner circle, and then we'll add some text that we're going to cut into the wood. Finally, we're going to design a rocket ship stand for the frame. We'll start by tracing this image and then ungroup it so that we can save only the rocket ship piece of this design. We want the border of this design to be thicker, so we're going to use the offset tool to add some thickness. Next, we want to flatten out the bottom of this rocket ship so that it can stand properly when we assemble our pieces. Now we're using the rectangle tool to create the pieces that connect the front of the stand to the back of the stand, as well as hold up our frame. When adjusting the width of this piece, we'll need to account for our frame's thickness. Since we want to have transparent acrylic inserts for the cuts in our rocket ship, we're going to be copying and pasting the shapes we want to be cut into acrylic. We're going to move all of this to a different layer where we'll adjust the curve so that all of the pieces fit into the slots tightly. These shapes will all be cut into different acrylic colors, but we're keeping them on the same layer because we'll be using the same settings to cut the different colors. So all we have to do now is add and adjust settings to our different layers that we've saved to our material library in the past. In order to laser cut and engrave out all of our materials, we'll be using the MONPORT ONYX 55-watt Desktop CO2 Laser Engraver. If you're interested in this laser or any MONPORT machine, you can use our discount code Anonymous10 for 10% off your purchase.
right? So we have everything cut out. We do need to clean off some of this stuff. What we do really like about this pre-finished plywood from Creatorally is it's really easy to clean up. Just some soapy water and all these char marks come off really easily. Just gonna be very careful with them. Look at that perfect tight fit. So that's the bottom. I'm going to put some foil tape on the back so that it reflects the light around.
Once again, a huge thank you to Creatorally for sending us the colored wood and glow-in-the-dark acrylic we used in this video. We'll have the link to their website in the description. Also, if you're interested in the laser we used or any MONPORT machine, you can use our discount code Anonymous10 for 10% off your purchase. The links and details will be in the description. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it.